Police investigate photo taken of jurors at trial of Mong Kok rioters. And the royal wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the wedding of Prince Harry and the actress Meghan Markle, whose marriage ceremony is taking place right now at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. You are looking at live pictures from inside the wedding venue. A total of 600 lucky guests were invited to the special event. Among family, friends, and royalty are a host of celebrity guests. So far, we've seen Oprah Winfrey, singing legend Elton John, and actor George Clooney and his wife. We've also spotted celebrity athletes in the mix. They include Serena Williams and David Beckham. Hours before the ceremony, Queen Elizabeth gave her grandson the title of Duke of Sussex. That means Meghan Markle will become a Duchess. And outside, more than 100,000 fans are cramming the roads just to catch a glimpse of the royal couple. And after the ceremony, the newlyweds will ride in a carriage through Windsor. When the night... And of course, we'll have more on the wedding later in the show. Now to local news. Police are looking into a disturbing twist during yesterday's verdict of 5 defendants on trial for rioting during the Mong Kok unrest of 2016. A photo emerged of 4 jurors, and police are investigating whether that was a security breach during the trial. Christy Lung reports.
Before delivering the jury's verdict yesterday for 5 defendants on trial over the Mong Kok unrest of 2016, High Court Judge Anthea Pang ordered the public gallery cleared. That was after the judiciary received a photo showing the faces of 4 of the jurors. All of the 9 jurors were escorted away by police after the verdict was delivered. Today, police confirmed an investigation is underway. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse, said Yu Ta-chung, a Hong Kong Island regional commander. He added that clear instructions are posted outside the court, telling the public not to take photos.
In February, a man who claimed to be a mainland tourist was discovered taking photos of the jurors during a hearing. He was forced by bailiffs to delete the pictures before letting him go.
These incidents have sparked discussion on beefing up security measures at the court's building.
If the purpose is to bring pressure to bear on the jurors, then it may well amount to the offence of perverting the course of justice. One way to deal with it is to require all members of the public, before going into the courtroom, to leave their phones outside.
But one lawmaker didn't think such measures are necessary.
We are not facing that kind of a serious risk at the moment. Nowadays, one cannot leave the mobile phone for such a long period in daily life. So it may undermine the right of people attending the court to witness the procedure.
He said more notices should be posted in the court building, reminding the public about the rules. Christy Lung, TVB News.
Concerns over a lack of living space in local care homes has prompted authorities to review the city's regulations. On providing more space, however, the Labor and Welfare Chief says he has to be realistic. Sharon Tang has more.
6.5 square meters. That's the minimum area per person required in local care homes under current regulations. It's been more than 20 years since the Residential Care Homes Ordinance was last reviewed. This morning, Secretary for Labour and Welfare Lo Chi Kwong said that it's the common will of the government, the elderly and service providers to enhance the current situation. But he said that authorities will have to strike a balance between dreams and reality, because more personal space means potentially fewer places available for would-be residents. That's why he's turning to private developers for help.
When we talk about project that is housed in, let's say, public projects like public housing or other public development, it will take around like 8 years or something even longer. But if we put it under a private development, normally it will take something like 5 years or at most like 7 to 8 years. So it definitely reduced the time needed for the development of residential homes for the elderly.
Law added that he will seriously consider including elderly homes in future land sale projects. It's worth noting that a social welfare panel tasked to review the matter took the agenda offline yesterday when members couldn't reach a consensus after 6 meetings. The group will meet again in July to follow up on issues such as manpower ratios in elderly homes. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
A minibus trade union has called on the government to include red minibuses in its transport concession scheme for the elderly. Elderly citizens and the disabled enjoy a discounted fare of $2 while traveling on most forms of public transport, except red minibuses. The group said red minibus drivers have seen their business take a hit since the scheme took effect in 2012. They are unhappy the government says it's not feasible to include red minibuses under the scheme.
The government is saying because the fare for the red minibus is under regulation. We have the understanding with the trade that no matter how much they are charging, or even though it's fluctuating, but we can agree on a minimum price. And based on that to do the subsidization scheme. So, and then this amount can be reviewed either on yearly basis or when they have the request to adjust, and is subject to the government's approval.
U.S. President Donald Trump says his top economic advisor, that is, says good progress is being made in trade talks with China.
That was probably more optimistic yesterday on the subject than I've seen him in this whole process. China's come to trade. They are meeting many of our demands. There's no deal yet, to be sure, and it's going to probably take a while. It's a process, but they're coming to play. I believe they want to make a deal, and we will help them. We will guide them towards our own ask.
The two countries are trying to avoid a trade war as Washington seeks to cut its $337 billion US trade deficit with China by $200 million. Beijing dropped an anti-dumping investigation into imported sorghum, which it had accused Washington of unfairly subsidizing. It's also given approval for a U.S. company to buy Toshiba's memory chip business. But China has denied an assertion by the White House that it offered to work to cut its trade deficit by $200 million, stressing details are still unclear.
A political coalition led by a prominent Shiite cleric has won the most seats in Iraq's parliamentary election. Muqtada al-Sadr is a longtime adversary of the United States. His bloc captured 54 seats in parliament. On his Twitter page, Sadr said, "With your votes, Iraq and reform have won." The Election Commission confirmed the bloc that came in second has close ties with Iran and played a key role in defeating Islamic State. Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi's alliance came in third. Because no alliance won an outright majority, forming a new government will drag on for months. This as parties try to form a bloc large enough to gain a majority.
And when we come back, fans camp out on the streets of Windsor ahead of the royal wedding. And locally, customs officers arrest 2 over production of counterfeit rice.
Welcome back. We're going back now to more live pictures of the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And as you can see, the ceremony is just wrapping up. The wedding has seen tens of thousands of people flock to Windsor over the past few days to be part of the spectacle. Our Tony Sabine has more on the legions of royal wedding fans who've been literally sleeping on the streets ahead of the big day.
Tens of thousands from around Britain and the wider world have descended on Windsor for the royal wedding. Many have camped out in the town for days, enduring cold nights, damp conditions and uncomfortable sleep, all for a chance to experience the royal nuptial and maybe catch a glimpse of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle up close.
3.5 hours was very good, but I woke up wet and I'm freezing cold and my back is sore and I just want to go to bed. I'm here for that 10 seconds when that coach goes around the corner. Yeah, it'll be well worth it.
So we're going to just enjoy the company, the ambience. I hear there's a party at 3 a.m. I want to invite you to come and get prepared for the day tomorrow. We're working on our banner, getting it spruced up, and we're here to stay.
We got sleeping bags. I got very thick socks. I got gloves. I got a blanket, and I think that will be enough for tonight. I think it will be fine. Yes, we don't think we're going to sleep too much, to be honest, because we are so excited.
Others wanted to experience the special day, if only to take their minds off other things.
With so many awful things going on in the world, I just thought something as lovely as this, and it's only down the road, got to make the effort. And they're just such a lovely couple, yeah. Just wanted to be here and be part of it.
Tony Sabine, TVB News.
Now to shocking news in Chile, where every Catholic bishop in the country has offered to resign over a sex abuse scandal. This came after Pope Francis called the bishops to an emergency meeting at the Vatican. That's where he addressed a 2,300-page report filled with sexual abuse allegations. One bishop appointed by Francis is blamed for turning a blind eye to the abuse. After the meeting, the 31 active bishops offered to quit. The mass resignations is the first in modern history for the Catholic Church. No word yet on whether Francis will accept their resignations.
The Chinese Air Force has landed long-range bombers on an island airport in the South China Sea. The move will likely further fuel concerns about Beijing's expansive claims over the disputed region. State media reported the exercise involved H-6K bombers, which took off and landed at the airport. Beijing is pitted against its smaller neighbors in multiple disputes over South China Sea islands. A Washington-based think tank identified the location as Woody Island, China's largest base in the Paracel Islands.
Back here in Hong Kong, authorities have confiscated the largest batch of counterfeit rice in recent years. It's believed they were distributed to about 100 restaurants around town. Arwina Wong reports.
The good old rice switcheroo. A distributor in Sampo Kong has been accused of mixing substandard rice with higher grade rice and selling them as the real deal. Customs officers took action when they got a tip about the company. Once they arrived at the scene, authorities discovered 6 tons of substandard rice, 1.6 tons of genuine rice, and 15 tons of already mixed counterfeit rice. They arrested a company director at the scene and later another director in Tai Po. Head of the Customs and Excise Department's Intellectual Property Investigation Group, Guy Fong, says the warehouse had a number of secret rooms where staff would mix the rice together. The company was selling these bags at around 8% below market price, but would still be earning about $100 per bag. Upon further inspection, authorities say the substandard rice came from places like Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. Fong says lower-grade rice tends to be paler in color since older rice becomes whiter. But no need to be too worried. Fong explained while the counterfeit rice isn't as high quality as the company claims it to be, it is still safe to consume. He said officers did not discover any sort of plastic rice added into the mix. The presence of plastics in counterfeit rice is an urban legend that makes its way around social media from time to time, but remains unproven. Winnie Wong, TVB News.
Secretary for Transport and Housing Frank Chan says if an emergency happens on the soon-to-open Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, emergency response teams will make rescuing people their top priority. Lawmakers are currently working out the details with the government should an accident occur on the bridge. In particular, they say people want to know who will come to their rescue. Lawmakers say some residents would prefer to be treated in Hong Kong rather than on the mainland or Macau. But Chan says it would depend on where the accident happens and what's most practical at the time. And that's our news.
Good night.